Hello, welcome to a NISA Labs Builder demo session. Today we have a community member sharing what they've been building with elizaOS. With us is Chef, the founder of aiquant.fun, and they are letting anybody launch an autonomous AI agent, trading quant in seconds, making on-chain trading fun, effortless, and profitable. Chef, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you here. Just to kick things off, how did you get into the space? What led you to start AI Quant, and perhaps what happened in between those two things?
Yeah. Sure. Thanks for having me, Ken. I greatly appreciate it. So my name is Marlon, and I'm a multi-time founder and software architect with over 2 decades just building at the intersection of software and various industries. I started my career in 2001, and then I went as a junior software developer doing Visual Basic and ASP coding. And then Microsoft and .NET came out, and I transitioned over to C# and VB.NET, ASP.NET, and did that for a number of years. And I eventually built a medical software startup that was sold in 2008. And that is really what led me down the path of software entrepreneurship. So over the years, have built software from call center, telecommunications, social, some with a high degree of success, many more with a high degree of failure. And in 2009, I learned about Bitcoin. Of course, I ignored it because I was focused on building my next SaaS startup at the time. But in 2011, I kept seeing it in the news, so I started following more closely. And then in 2013, that's when I would say, got involved in Bitcoin from an investment perspective. I'm from Miami, Florida originally. I was in the crypto scene, in the early crypto scene in Miami. But it wasn't until Ethereum came out that I started looking at building anything on blockchain. Up to that point, I was still building in Web 2. And Ethereum is really what brought me into thinking about building products in the blockchain space. So I first started looking at how could I build blockchain-based solutions for the call center industry. And that led me to EOS, which led me to co-founding Telos Blockchain, getting involved in the Wax blockchain, where I was the chair of the technical group, just putting together the rules on how to manage and become block producers. In DeFi 2020, I was building just yield protocols and experimenting in DeFi, which led me to build an IDO launchpad that became one of the top launchpads in the space, IDO, uh, IDO space. And now I'm running the Atlanta Blockchain Center, which is an IRL facility. I'm building AI Quant because I do believe that we're living at a time where we've never seen this sort of disruption before. And this is coming from someone who has seen the major technology cycles from the internet to the rise of e-commerce and the explosion of social media, the transformation that cloud computing brought to us, to now the disruption of crypto and AI. And I do think that there will be a day where AI can effectively trade profitably, winning more than it loses for us. And that's what we're trying to build with AI Quant. So that's my short background. Thank you.
Nice. And I'm very excited to learn more around this. I've had a sneak peek of what you've put together. On that note, let's bring up your slides and you can kick off your presentation and then demo.
Okay.
Two.
Thank you. Thank you. So the product I'm presenting today is AI Quant. We've been working on this since October of 2024, and we support Eliza as a core part of our platform. And I hope to demonstrate why this is a very unique product in the space for you guys today. So the problem really is that with the proliferation of launch pads, Pump Fun, and others, the creation of tokens is just through the roof. And I believe that's going to continue to happen. So there's so much noise and opportunities are lost in that noise. Our president in the United States launched his own token that empowered people all over the United States and all over the world to want to launch their own token. To them now it's okay. It's no longer a scary thing that the SEC is going to come and pursue. And so that's a huge problem, but it's an opportunity in that problem. And yes, there are bots and so forth today, right? So there's manual and bot trading, but those bots are monotonous. They do the same thing over and over again. They don't learn from their past. They don't have the sort of like contextual and inference capabilities that AI has. So bots are stupid. And we know that humans are slow, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much time I spend behind Deck Screener or behind GMGN AI or Bird Eye. I would never ever be able to compete with high frequency trading or AI when it comes to researching and finding these opportunities in a relatively performant time. And that's the problem that we're trying to solve. At the end of the day, crypto trading is here to stay. So the question is, how do we do it better? And then how do we make it accessible to everyone? Because every single person in the world could own a quant someday. And that's a reality. So the solution to this problem of tokens galore, this excessive nature of tokens, and it's not going to slow down any minute, is what we call quants. And if you guys have followed trading in any capacity, a quant is like a trader that applies mathematical analysis, real research, including market research and other data to come up with unique strategies to trade and to create models that they could repeat and increase their profitability and win rates. So quants just prefer to work with data and with math and analytics to try to solve this problem of how do we make profits across these different asset classes. So AI quant is the solution to this problem that I described earlier. So we're allowing anyone to launch their own AI powered quant. There's no coding at all. And it scans and it trades and it adapts 24/7, 365. And it's just constantly evaluating tokens, learning the market, executing on our behalf just across different chains. And so far, we've been live in paper trading mode for 2 months now. So we've been building this for about 8 months, but we launched in paper trading 2 months ago, and we've executed over 37,000 trades, over $17 million, now over $18 million in paper trading volume. And if this were a live product with live trading, we would have generated 453,000 in just fee revenue from the trading volume. And we have 155 users. About a third of those are actively creating and managing their quants. And we've generated over 2 ETH in just launch fees, right? So this is a real revenue generating product, even in private beta. And we believe that this is just the very early insight into what is possible when we really go live. Since our upgrades to the execution engine, right, we've seen a constant increase in the performance of our quants. So some quants have performed over 100%, a couple over 500%, just within the span of a 1 week period. So we're seeing in the data that we've been collecting over the past 60 days that this does work, despite contrary belief that AI could not necessarily do well at trading. Our data says otherwise, and this is some of the stats that's in the system from some well-performing quants. And the business model is simple. So we take a performance fee, 10% on every profitable trade. So if you make $1,000 in profit, we're going to get $100 from performance fee. There's trading subscriptions as well, which is something that is in the platform, as well as API subscriptions. But we're thinking of, for the initial launch, to do away with subscriptions temporarily, but it is part of our business model. We want to do away with it temporarily just so that we could onboard as many people as possible, and we can make money from the performance fee anyway, and the subscriptions can come later, but we do have support for subscription-based revenue. And then, of course, there's a referral program where referrers would receive up to 20% of the referrals profit fees if they refer them to us. And this is a $100 billion opportunity. DeFi is growing constantly. There's various numbers, but DeFi is an 80 to $100 billion industry, and it has no sign of slowing down. AI in finance is growing significantly, right? The CAGR, the compound annual growth rate, is over 30%. And the agentic economy, I mean, that the Eliza committee knows very well, is over $5 billion already just in crypto-based AI launchpads. And as I mentioned earlier, the future of tokens is really accelerating. So this is a huge opportunity. It's the right product at the right time, and we're the right team to do it. So quickly, just skip the roadmap for the purposes of saving time. But effectively, we do see we're going to go live trading and then do tokenized quants, support centralized exchanges, and then support other asset classes in the future, such as stocks, perp trading, etc. So the degen scanning and monitoring is just the beginning. So we're asking for $3 million in the seed round. We just secured another $500K investment yesterday from Moon Pursuit Capital, and we're at 1.1 raised so far. So there's 1.8 left. And it's a standard safe with the token. And we're looking at doing our TGE in Q3, most likely Q3 of 2025. And the token is fully unlocked, no vesting to equity investors. And the team, I mentioned some of my experience, but the team at Suvi, we've worked together for a number of years. She was the CEO of the Telos Foundation. Leo worked on Block One, which he was a core EOS developer and is also on some of the patents with Dan Larimer, the founder of EOS. Tiago and Ryan also on the team. And then we're advised by Michael Turpin and Enzo, who co-founded NASDAQ Corporate Solutions, and then Warren Whitlock. Now we'll transition over into the demo of the product. The website is aiquant.fun. And as you can see, as you visit, we show the ticker of some of the popular tokens at the coins at the top, and just different scans, real-time scans of tokens that we're evaluating and the report from those evaluations. So it's very simple. Again, it's easy to log in. We designed this so that anyone from anywhere could sign up, whether you're on a mobile device or a desktop, whether you have a wallet or not, it doesn't matter to us. We support wallet logins, but we also support email, and then the social media is login as well. So the first thing a user does here is just log in, and that is going to send an email code, and we use Privy for user onboarding, which is a great way to secure our infrastructure in terms of the wallet management by the agents. Each agent has a secure enclave wallet that's managed by Privy. So here we go. We've just created an account and we're all set. I have an account now in AI Quant. So the next step is to launch my quant. I'm going to launch my quant. I have to select a subscription. This is fully integrated and it works, as I mentioned, but this is a testnet sort of payment system. So I'm going to select the Pro subscription. Loading, just give it a second here. And this supports any test Stripe account. So I'm going to put in my email and then a test Stripe number, any expiration date in the future, any CVC code, and my zip, submit. And effectively, this is going to create a subscription for me to AI Quant where I could create my quant. So there we go. We have the confetti and we can launch a quant. So I'm going to launch, all right, let's call it Eliza demo and demo world. And let's say a man eating, I like using this one, Bitcoin pizza for my profile. So this is just creating the basic setup for my quant. Let's see, x.com. And I could also provide my agent with social media links. And this is for the Eliza integration. Of course, as you guys know this very well. So if you provide the logins here for that. So here's my guy eating the Bitcoin pizza, celebration of Bitcoin Pizza Day. And I can set some basic parameters. You see this in common bot systems, but this is certainly not designed to work like a bot. This is just a fallback set of parameters that you can specify for the system. So I'm going to say that my take profit percentage is at 1.5, which is 50% trades. And I want to keep a moon bag, small moon bag. The moon bag just represents after a trade is sold, we're going to keep a small amount in case it decides to go to the moon after we exit the position. And then my stop loss, I can set to whatever I want and slippage on trades. I'm a little degen, so my risk is going to be aggressive. And I can enable trailing stop loss if I want, but I'm going to skip that. Go next. So
On
here's,
on those configurations, what's going on in the back ends? So it's on the front end, I can see you're altering the parameters of the quant, but then from a back end perspective, what is that kind of tweaking, if that makes sense?
oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So effectively, when the quant, so every token goes through an evaluation process. If it passed the evaluation process and the quant decides to buy the token, these are the exit parameters for your trades. So it's once it buys a token, it's going to look at your take profit setting to say, should we exit this position? If it does exit the position, the Moonback says, should we keep a percentage of that token even after we exit based on the take profit percentage? The stop loss is obviously at what point do you want to completely get out of position if you're down, right? What percentage is that? So in this case, if I'm, let's say 15% down on the trade, I'm telling the quant just to get rid of it. And then the slippage is for every trade. What's the slippage that I'm going to allow to get into that trade? However, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Ken. Did you have a question?
Yeah, just thinking the kind of makeup of the market that you spoke around at the start, I guess the variety of tokens that we've now got. Suddenly slippage just become an important thing, right? Can you get in a position? Is there enough liquidity in the token?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Just playing that in my head as well, actually, where the quant will be perhaps trading. I guess the tolerance at the bottom also depends on where those markets might be, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot more advanced analysis that goes into that. We have, before we execute every single trade, we actually use some prompt chaining techniques. So we gather the past 150 profitable trades, past 150 unprofitable trades. We look at the attributes of these trades to identify the similarities amongst them. We look at past 90 days worth of price history in 1 minute intervals. We perform technical analysis. So RSI, MACD, a lot of the technical stuff, we perform those. We take the fear and greed index. We take the BTC dominance, the ETH dominance, the altcoin index, so that we could understand the market sentiment for trading. And this is happening before every single trade is taken in seconds, right? All of this data that I just mentioned. And then we, using GPT-4.1 mini, we ask it to restructure that data for us in a way that is more conducive to GPT-4.1. So we use mini to crunch the data. And then we use the main model 4.1 for a decision. And that decision says execute trade. It says delay the trade. And if delay, how long? Or it says reject the trade completely. Now, if we say execute the trade, then we use the result of the analysis to get together a execution plan, meaning what is the right price entry for this token? Doesn't matter what it is right now. Like, what's the optimal entry for it? The low and the high. So if a token is $1, the quant might come back and say, wait until it is 98 cents and then you enter, right? And then exit when it's $1.05, exit 20%. But then it might go to, I predict it's going to go to $1.10 and then you exit another 20%. It is extremely sophisticated what we put into place and what happens in seconds before every single trade. So these parameters are you guiding us initially. You're guiding your quant with your preferences, but it uses this and then it takes over and does its own thing based on real data and real past performance from your trades.
Nice.
Yeah. So the last step is selecting the chains that you want to invest on. So you want your quant to invest on Base, Solana, and BNB. You could set an auto buy amount. So I could say I'd like to buy 0.225 ETH on Base, one Sol, and one BNB. Now, there's something that we have in the settings after I create it called auto position sizing, which if you enable that, the quant would automatically, again, use similar logic as it does for trades. It says, how big is this guy's portfolio on these chains? What is the risk tolerance? And a few other things. And it will determine the proper amount to buy for each trade. So we have that as well. But just to keep things basic during sign up, we allow you to just choose the chain you want to invest on and say what the auto buy amounts are. And that's it. This is how easy it is to launch a quant. We do require a deposit because again, it's good for spam. And then it's a small sort of validation that we could generate revenue from this model. So let me just deposit the amount for this. And you can see how simple that is. I can pay with my card, or I can transfer from an exchange or from a wallet, or just send it directly. So I'm going to send it directly to this is my Privy wallet, uniquely just for me. Let's see. So give me 1 second as I send the deposit to this wallet. And remember, so far, I haven't had to interact with the wallet. I haven't had to even care about it. I just logged in with my email and I paid for my subscription and I'm able to launch my quant.
Nice.
Just give me 1 second. I'm just transferring the amount here. There we go. So continue button. All right. So I created my deposit, gonna approve it here in Privy and processing. All right. All done. Verifying and assess success, deposit verified, proceeding with quant launch. All right. Quant has been successfully created. All right. So this is my quant. And just give us a second to make sure it loads. And right now in the background, it's actually setting up the default character in Eliza. It's making sure that the quant's cache parameters are being set properly. It's starting the Eliza agent specifically for the quant. And here we go. So this is the dashboard for my quant that I just created. And it will show me a summary of my performance, which of course we don't have any yet. And I can chat with Eliza, say, how many trades have you performed today?
So from a backend, OS here is the UX layer for the quant, right? So you're
Correct.
speaking to the framework to interact with the training engine that sits alongside elizaOS.
That's correct.
What has the relationship been from a technical standpoint? To personify it, but from a technical standpoint, with the training engine that you've built in elizaOS, and then how have the two started to interact with each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a really great question. So we have three components to the platform, three core components. We have our evaluation engine, and that's the engine that goes out and it detects tokens across the three chains, and it runs it through a series of analysis that I'll go through over in a minute. And if the tokens pass the evaluation engine's processes, then it's moved over to the execution engine. And the execution engine is the one responsible for performing the trade, right? And as it performs the trade, it logs all the activity, and we're building a history of transactions for your quant. Now, the ELIZA module is the third component of that. So as you saw when we just launched the quant, we create an ELIZA character and agent for each one of the quants. And
Right.
it's effectively a plugin. So we have a plugin to the core ELIZA framework. And the
Mhm.
plugin has a series of custom actions that we have. And we're a team of 3, but this part is one of the parts that I worked on myself. So we have a lot of actions. So you can ask the quant about itself. So I can say, what is your name? You can ask the quant about itself. You can ask it about any token. We're still tweaking certain things, but you can ask it to get the price of a token. It goes out and gets it through custom actions. So we created a market analysis so we can tell it, there you go. See, I'm Eliza Demo, an individual crypto trader. So it has actions that it knows about itself that it's programmed to do. We also have just a custom evaluator in our plugin, and that evaluated mostly is a message classifier, right? So it's the one that gets the message and then it analyzes it to see, okay, which is the best action based on this user's interaction with you.
Nice.
And of course, we do have our own providers. So when you do TA, so I can say, let me see, can you perform TA on Trump? Let's see, Trump on Solana. And this takes a little while, of course, but so this is a provider that happens. Of course, it goes through the message classifier and so on and so forth. But we actually have a TA provider that goes through and actually executes technical analysis in real time if you ask it to.
Okay.
So all of that is part of the plugin and the Eliza portion. Of course, it also knows about the trades that it performed. It knows all these through the plugin, through the custom actions and the providers that we have.
Awesome.
So for the sake of time, while it's thinking, and you can see we customize the output from the terminal, but you can tell that this is Eliza response here, right? So as it's like developing, this section is going to show in real time any alpha that it's detecting, right? So this is where it goes and it finds tokens and analyzes them. So we'll get back to that. This is where you manage your portfolio of trades. And your playbook is where you can come and you could specify what your strategy is. So literally, this is the core of your quant. And we've made it advanced now because we're going after people who are degens, but this view will simplify. We'll have predefined settings for users that we could give over time. Basically, this is where I can come and say, what minimum market cap do I want my quant to be interested in? So in this case, since my risk is a little high, I just want to look at 100K minimum market cap to, let's say, 2.5 million. Those are the tokens that I want. Some of the settings that you saw in the launch step, we have it here. So you can come and see your buy amounts, etc. You can also enable auto position sizing, as I mentioned before. With this on, the quant will take care of determining how much it should buy per trade based on a very advanced set of analysis. And then these are your individual quant wallets. That's Privy wallets. That's secure enclave generated specifically for this quant. And you can come and withdraw the funds from there as it generates profit. But yeah, to trading parameters, you can come and specify again, same thing as you saw before, risk tolerance, stop loss, etc. And here's where you can tell that the score, the AI score and the quant score that needs to pass, every token needs to have at least this minimum score in order for it to be considered.
Okay.
But the coolest thing,
What's the AI score mean? So is that rating
the model,
okay.
so the quant score does a lot of quantitative analysis. So it's the data, it's the processing, it's doing TA. The AI score takes the result of the quantitative analysis, and then it gives it that sort of inference, the AI interpretation of that. And we use both of those to determine whether this is a good trade or not, along with a lot of other parameters. But that's how the model works.
And are you toggling a scrutiny there, or are you toggling how much of a, I guess, yeah, slide that up, what happens is maybe a better question.
The scrutiny. So that means your token is going to have to pass a lot of parameters in order to pass to be considered good. Yeah.
Cool.
But the coolest thing here are the parameters we have over 40 different parameters you can specify here. So I can say that when my quant is screening, I wanted to screen for the age of tokens that are 45 minutes old, right? Or tokens that are just like 1 hour old, right? I can make this a required parameter. And if it's not at least an hour old, I don't want it. So it's going to encounter a token. If it doesn't meet this criteria, it's just going to ditch us to the side. So you can come here and specify your age, the buy to sell ratio. Remember, we go through every token that your quant scans, it goes through 3 phases. It screens, it buys, and it sells. So we allow you, for the parameters where it makes sense, we allow you to specify what your preferences are for each one of those stages, right? For example, for age, it only matters if you're screening here, right? Your age, the age of the token is not going to change whether you're buying or selling or screening, but the buy to sell ratio will. So if you're screening a token, you can specify that, the settings you want for that. When you're buying, same thing. When you're selling, same thing. But you can set your buy volume, change percent, the number of dexes that the token's listed on, whether it's a CTO. So I can come here and say, I want to just trade CTOs only, and this is a required parameter. Like I can say liquidity, right? When you're screening, I want to have, since I'm a DGen, I'll do 20K liquidity minimum for screening. Buying, probably a little higher. Let's do 50K. And selling 120. Yeah, no, actually, let's do 50K is fine. So you can specify these settings as you want. Liquidity to market cap ratio, because we do know that a lot of rugs have this parameter skewed, right? And you'll notice that they seem like they're pumping, but they have so much liquidity to the market cap, the ratio is distorted. So this is a way to filter out these rugs, but also find the right ratio that actually works. We can specify the market regime and a few other parameters, right? I don't want to take up the full time of the demo going through each one of them, but you can do things like the wallet chain over the past 30 minutes, hour. You can say on the social category, it must have a Telegram, right? It must have a Twitter. It must have a website. What's the social trend direction? Only up. And we get this social trend data from a combination of Grok 3, which is really good at that because it now has access to X, and also Luna Crush. So we integrate with those to get our information.
And then this is a little bit insane how deep you can go on the platform. I was surprised at the length of, I guess, options. And then you scroll down and then there was heaps more.
Yeah. Technical analysis, you could do the MACD, RSI, and we normalize this. So this is one of the, I think, when you're building software, there's certain aspects of it, you're like, wow, this is pretty freaking dope and awesome, right? That we built this. But the technical analysis portion for me was one of the great accomplishments. And it's one of the parts that I also wanted to build personally. But technical analysis could be, it's a challenge for most people. It's something that a lot of people don't understand. It takes a long time to really grasp it, but we normalized it. So every one of these technical analyses are on a scale of 0 to 100. For example, the RSI in a traditional technical analysis term, the RSI score of 70 means that the token could be overbought. Too many people in it. You may want to start getting out. And if it's under 30, it's oversold. It might be a really good time to get in. But we don't want you to really care about that. You can just say, I want my RSI to be between 60 to 90%. Internally, we take that and we transpose it. So we actually know that to you, 90% means closer to RSI 30. And then 10% means closer to RSI 70.
So on Fibonacci, so I trade the extensions is normally my sell point. So 2.618, I think it is.
Yeah. That's
normally with this, that's where I'm like, okay, when do I exit? That's my get out the position and call it a day. So I guess the selling, when you say max 90, would that be above the Fibonacci range? Like where are you sitting on that kind of extension?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you have the different levels, of course. You have the 61.8, which is the golden ratio. Yeah. That's where it shows strong support. The higher you go, you know that you're above the support level. And the lower you go, you know that it's below the retracement, basically. And it's before the trend actually takes off. Mm-hmm. And the same thing for the Bollinger Band as well, and the MACD, and the stochastic oscillator. Every single one of these takes the traditional interpretation, and under the hood, it translates the technical analysis in the way that it's meant to be interpreted.
It's very interesting to see. This is the potential of agent-based DeFi almost. It's super user-friendly, automated. I guess the questions, not the questions, but people should be thinking about how decentralized the infrastructure is. Is it secure? Is it safe to trade? But from a UI UX perspective, how easy this to do,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
Um, mm, yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you. And we could address any of those questions. I know not obviously the demo, but I'm available for any additional questions, concerns, and we'll be happy to go through that with anyone.